Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy.
Meet the Freshmen. Freshmen, meet the Freshmen. They're the newest Tigers on the team.
We'll start in the defensive backfield today with Bernard Causey III, who is a freshman out of New Orleans, went to John F. Kennedy High School, and he's a guy that they added to this class, and I've heard Matt talk about this a lot on his show. If you're going to take 3-star DBs, 3-star D linemen, let's go fishing in the New Orleans well instead of the Las Vegas well. Let's go fishing in the New Orleans well instead of the Virginia well. And Bernard Causey is in the New Orleans well. He's a guy who played a lot of football at John F. Kennedy, also ran track for John F. Kennedy, ran in the relays with the 100, 200, and 400. And he's a 3-star recruit by all the services, is high up as number 11 in the state of Louisiana by on 3. Illinois was looking at him. Ole Miss was looking at him. But inevitably, Corey Raymond determined this is a guy that I want in the class. He is tall for a DB at 6 feet, but he is thin. And this is very evident when you go out to practice. Bernard Causey, P.J. Woodland, and Michael Turner are real thin. I mean, they look like high schoolers at camp.
Yeah, I watched him play in high school last year, and he was very small. Like
yeah,
he's very, thin. Very thin.
And the same thing happens all the time when we talk about this. You go, well, Shard Robinson was thin, and Tyrann Mathieu was thin. That's true. But these guys are, it's noticeable. I'm about to talk to you about another freshman here in 2 minutes, and he's not thin. Bernard Causey is rail thin, and you've got to take some time to put some weight on him. But that's what the transfer portal is for. That's why you go get J.K. Johnson and Jair Brown out of the transfer portal to put some grown men out there. And you've seen J.K. Johnson, you've seen Jair Brown working at the nickel, and J.K. Johnson working a little bit, and guys like Wallace Foster and Bernard Causey are down the road a little bit. P.J. Woodland's gotten in the mix with the twos some. But Bernard Causey is thought of as a guy that they're going to develop, and Corey Raymond is really good at that. And if there are a lot of position coaches on this LSU team that I trust to develop guys. In fact, almost all of them. But Corey Raymond certainly deserves that, and Bernard Causey I don't think had any sort of illusions that he was going to come in and immediately be a starter on this defense, and I don't think he's going to be a special teams guy or much of anything for LSU this year. But he's a Louisiana kid. He's very, very physical at his smaller size. He runs well, and he's got some length to him, and that's what Corey Raymond is looking for. So our first freshman here in this Tuesday edition of Meet the Freshman is Bernard Causey. Our second freshman is Caden Durham. Now, Caden Durham, not a 3-star. Caden Durham, very much a 4-star recruit, and a guy that LSU fought off some really, really high-level schools to reel in, mainly Oklahoma being number 1. He was listed as a top 10 running back by all the services, number 19 player in the state of Texas by the On3 Composite, and he played a really, really high level of football over at Duncanville. Led them to back-to-back Texas 6A state Division I state titles. He was the offensive MVP of the 6A state title game. In that game, he ran for 243 yards and 3 touchdowns, and they weren't like 3-yard touchdowns. He was running wind sprints down the field in the state championship game. At halftime of that game, he had 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. He was also the offensive MVP of the 2022 state championship game, had 3 more touchdowns and 100 yards in that game. He had, as a junior in high school, 36 rushing touchdowns. Now, part of that is because he's phenomenal, and part of it is because Duncanville is better than everybody that they play. They've had a pretty ridiculous run of players rolling through there. Colin Simmons comes to mind, certainly DeCorian Moore, and obviously you're looking here at Caden Durham. He's a track athlete. You're talking about a guy who ran in the 4x100 for Duncanville, consistently clocked in the 100 around 10.5. He ran a 10.28 in the 100. That is really moving, especially when you consider that he's built. He's 5'10", 210 pounds, and I think is the type of talent that LSU needs to bring in at running back year over year. There was a point here in the recent past that I didn't think LSU's running back talent looked like it did when you were looking at Jeremy Hill to Leonard Fournette to Derrius Guice to Clyde. Previous to that, you're talking about Charles Scott and Keelan Williams with Jacob Hester and Trendon Holiday moving into Stephen Ridley, who was an NFL player for a long time. And then you had, previous to that, guys like LeBrandon Tofield, who was a pro, and Dominic Davis, who was a pro, and Joseph Adai, who was a longtime pro. And that's what the talent level should look like at LSU at running back. And there was a blip there where I don't know that it looked like that. And when you look at Caleb Jackson, and you look at Caden Durham, and you look at Harlem Berry, all of a sudden I go, okay, that could easily be the next run that I'm talking about when I go Hill, Fournette, Guice. That could be that. Now, they're a long way to go. None of these guys have Leonard Fournette's credentials. None of these guys have Jeremy Hill's credentials. None of these guys have what Derrius Guice had as far as credentials go. But the talent level is really, really good. And so when you talk about Durham, the speed is obvious. He is a home run hitter as a running back. The question is, how much of that home run hitting is he going to do as a freshman? And my answer to that would be, assuming health, not a ton. Josh Williams is going to get a lot of reps. Caleb Jackson, we talked about a ton at the top of today's show. I think he's going to get a lot of reps. And John Emery's out there and looks pretty good. Every once in a while, he's got to go off to the side and fix his leg brace, and he's got a big one on there. But he looks pretty good. And I think Durham is very solidly behind those three guys. When you start talking about reps as a fourth-team running back, there aren't a ton. But running backs get hurt. And if somebody goes down, from a talent perspective, Caden Durham is able to come in there and give you some touches. I hope he gets the ball in his hand in space at some point because I want to see him run. I want to see that kind of speed. If you want to see it, go look at the highlights from the state championship game I was just referencing on YouTube. They're very available, and Caden Durham, like I said, it looks like he's running the 100 meters in pads because nobody's touching him, and he's blowing by everybody. Looks like Sha'Carri Richardson in that 4x100 final, where it's kind of, even with everybody, decides, okay, I'm going, see ya. That's the kind of speed and home run hitting ability that Durham has, but he also moves real low to the ground, can shift. He's not just like Trendon Holiday, who you just kind of had to give it on end arounds and kickoff returns. He can carry the ball between the tackles. He can make some guys miss. He can be difficult to tackle because he's well put together. But the speed is the thing that excites me the most, and I'm hopeful we get to see a little bit of that at some point, whether it's some mop-up time carries, whether it's mop-up time kickoff return, whether it's getting a package installed for him where he can maybe get to the edge and show that speed. I'm in on that. I want Caleb Jackson to get a lot of carries. I'm good with Josh Williams as well, and there's a piece for this pie for John Emery. And maybe Caden Durham has to wait another year, and Josh Williams and John Emery will be gone. They're out of eligibility, and you'll have Caden Durham right there next to Caleb Jackson, and those will be your top two bell cow dudes. And I'm good with that. I think those guys have got a real future in purple and gold, but I'm excited about Caden Durham and what he can be, and I'm excited about the talent level that Frank Wilson's bringing into this room year over year. I think this is going to be an exciting group for years to come. So those are your two freshmen, Bernard Causey and Caden Durham today. That means only 4 left to go. Tomorrow we'll do Michael Turner and Kalaj Cobbins. Spoiler alert, Kalaj Cobbins looks awesome. And then we'll do Xavier Atkins and Dominic McKinley to close things out on Thursday. And that'll be it for Meet the Freshmen as we have we'll gone through the entire signing class of 2024. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.